And joining us now and in focus is Jason Finkelman, an immigration attorney. Thanks so much for coming by today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So we have a lot to get to here, but let's first start with people who are here undocumented. Let's say they're found in the back of that hot tractor trailer in San Antonio or something like that. What happens to them after they are found?
So individuals who are either arrested or detained, who may be here undocumented, are entitled to certain rights in our country. Those individuals usually will be interviewed by an immigration, customs, and enforcement, or ICE officer. And that officer will assess whether they should be placed into what's called deportation proceedings.
Right.
Usually there's a wide range of reasons why a person would be placed into deportation proceedings. Either they entered without a visa or documentation, they overstayed a visa, they committed a criminal offense. Once that ICE officer assesses whether the person should be placed in deportation proceedings, that individual is afforded the right to a hearing in front of an immigration judge. And that process, that deportation or removal proceeding, can move forward and can be a long, lengthy process.
So it can be lengthy.
It can be multiple years unless, in some cases, there's a prior order of removal, or there's a person who's voluntarily departing the U.S. But in that case, an individual can actually remain in the U.S. for, in some cases, several years until they go through those deportation proceedings with an immigration judge.
It varies as for how long it takes to come into this country legally, but do you have any sort of time frame you could provide us with?
It's a wide range of ways that people can come to the U.S.
Right.
And some of those are significantly quicker, and some of them are significantly longer. But to come to the U.S. lawfully on what's called a non-immigrant visa or a temporary visa, and there are many different types of temporary visas, they range from letters A to letters U, can sometimes be a matter of weeks or months depending upon whether that person meets the eligibility requirements for a temporary visa here in the U.S. On the other side of the equation, getting what's called an immigrant visa, which is the same thing as a green card or lawful permanent residence, the process can be many, many months long, or in some cases decades long, depending upon the category in which the foreign national may be eligible for that immigrant visa. It's a wide range.
I understand. Now, going back to people who are here undocumented, let's talk about minors. Minors who come here without parents. What typically happens to them?
So unaccompanied minors, individuals who under the age of 18, who aren't here with a parent, really go through the same process of the same removal proceedings as an adult would. Again, they would go in front of an immigration judge, they would go through removal proceedings. The only difference generally is those individuals may be afforded some programming through what's called the Office of Refugee Resettlement to educate them, to house them, to orient them through the removal proceeding process. But by and large, they're going to go through the removal proceedings in an immigration court just like an adult would.
Now, we can't talk about young people without talking about DACA. So many people are now concerned about that program. It protects more than 124,000 people here in Texas, I believe, alone, some 800,000 across the country. And lots of people not really sure how this is going to shake out with Congress, with President Trump. What fears do you hear the most when it comes to DACA?
By and large, individuals who are here in Texas who are benefits of DACA are really struggling now with the fact that they may be currently working with valid work authorization. They may be supporting family members who don't have valid work authorization, and they've disclosed their personal information to the U.S. government, where they live, where they work, everything that you would want to know on an individual person. And so there's a lot of fear now in the community from those individuals that have raised their hand and said, here's where I'm at. If Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement wants to deport those people, it's a rather simple process to do it now. So there's a lot of fear from those individuals who are now productive members of our communities to go, well, what's going to happen if I'm removed to a country I've really never known and I was brought to this country
scary for a lot of them.
At a young age. Yeah, it's very scary.
Yeah. Now, talking about Texas laws, we have SB 4 currently on hold, blocked by a federal judge temporarily. But lots of people here in Texas are very concerned about that as well. So this is an interesting time, to say the least.
Yeah, SB 4 is right now, it's sort of held up in the courts. But that's also having a dramatic impact on all undocumented immigrants here in Texas who are fearful that they could be detained in their homes, in routine traffic stops, and sent back to their countries. And again, by and large, some don't know. There's also the issue of working together with police to try and apprehend more serious criminals, terrorists, drug dealers, gang members, when you have members in the community who are afraid to approach their local law enforcement because of SB 4. That creates
That's a big fear.
A big problem for law enforcement.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for all this useful information.
Thanks
this is a complicated topic, so we appreciate you coming by today.
My pleasure.
And we'd always like for you to weigh in here on In Focus. You can always tweet us using the hashtag InFocusTX. We'd love to hear your thoughts on smuggling, on all of these immigration issues. Until then, have a nice week, and we'll see you again on Sunday.